see so many of you here because it's quite late in the day. I'm going to start asking, put your hands up if you think you're creative.
Here? Well, that's really...
That's really good. And do you think, put your hands up if you think that's because of neurodiversity. And then let's turn that to these words: hyperfocus, visual thinking, problem solving. And I know now that I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for my neurodivergence. And I'd like you to take that away, every single one of you. It was a mental health crisis. I will talk about that a little bit later, but I didn't know what was going on, and I didn't know I was neurodivergent. I've got cousins that are neurodivergent, but I'm not neurodivergent. They're just the people that can't go to school, you know? But I was. And it was actually, I'm lucky, because the Armed Forces mental health team walking with the wounded got me through my diagnosis. You know, I was lucky. It took me a year because they pushed me through. It was actually my daughter that said to me, you ought to go for a diagnosis. Because she said, Mum, all my friends, she says, they don't open their Christmas presents by numerical order. She says, you know, they don't have to have Mum's spreadsheet out in a list before they can open them, you know. And we don't all have chocolate oranges at number 1 and the Xbox at number 12. You know, there's something is maybe you ought to go and get tested. And I did. They said, but you'll need to go through an interview and you'll need to know about planes and you'll need to know about warfare. So I got myself a job as in a paper round, and I got the Times, took it back every day and I read it cover to cover. I went to the library because we didn't have the internet then. And I learned everything about every single plane, every single serial number, where it was around the world. And when I went into that interview, I sat there and I said, you can ask me any question. And I answered every single one. And they sponsored me through university. And I learned to fly when I was 19, at an age when children, or should I say ladies, didn't fly, because I wanted to join the Air Cadets, but women couldn't fly. So I thought, sod you then, high sense of justice. And I joined the Sea Cadets instead. And then when I got into the Air Force, they taught me to fly for nothing anyway. This one here, the only woman again. But what did I have to do to keep up with the lads? I had to drink a pint of beer, you know? And that alcohol, that helped me fit in. And alcohol became an issue for a while, you know, which I'll talk about later. But, you know, there's me down in my pint. I'm going to be the same as you lads. You know, I'm going to run up and down hills. I'm only little, yeah, but no, I'm going to carry my own pack. And then when I left the Air Force on pregnancy, I'm a linguist, so I moved to France and set up my own business. But again, that resilience came through. I needed to know about spray booths because I decided to import spray booth filters into the UK, which I still do now. You know, that resilience has actually got me where I am today. And you've got to remember that. I think we need to tell our children that too. You know, it's not a negative thing that you're neurodivergent. No. Suddenly, I could not do it. Suddenly, every month, I didn't know why, but every month I was going to bed on a Monday and I was waking up on Thursday, and then the ambulance would come around and I'd end up in hospital because I haven't drank and I haven't eaten for a week because I didn't want to be here anymore. And then it suddenly twigged. Menopause. Menopause did this to me. Suddenly, estrogen had dropped and so had my dopamine. You know, you're supposed to lose something like 65% of your estrogen during menopause. And I'm a firm believer now that hormones have a massive, massive impact on neurodivergent people. Menopause, autism, okay? Exhaustion, dysregulation, mood swings, identity, anxiety. But when you have menopause and you have autism, it's not just a autistic menopause. It's like putting petrol into a diesel car. You can't function. I'm not saying this is the same for everybody. I'm just saying this is what happened to me. Once he actually said this, he said, just collapse the box. Don't just think outside the box. Collapse the box and take a effing sharp knife to it. You know, we need creative people. I'm a big fan of Van Gogh. And we all, you know, it's sort of thought now that Van Gogh was potentially autistic. But wouldn't it be a sad place without Van Gogh? So I'm hoping some of you have written some words down. And if you go away from this, and we can talk after at my stand, but if you do go away from this, I'd like you to look at those words. And I would like you to do what I just did. And I'd like you to think about those words and put them into, you know, get your feelings down on paper and see what happens. Because I think it's really, really helpful.